Welcome to Don't Panic Geocacher. This episode is devoted to the Bamarama 2025 puzzles. This is part one. So these puzzles were published by me, Waterfan 5, on the geocaching.com website, or Arjen in just day-to-day life. So a little bit of background information. Bamarama was a block party that was held in Elberta, Alabama, and I put the GC code here on the page if you want to look it up. And for that, there was a special event puzzle that consisted out of six um, extra puzzles that you had to solve and find. And by solving and finding those, you were able to solve the bonus cache, which I put the GC code on the page here as well. So they were published at different times. So basically, leading up to the event, every week one of them was published, and then the last one was published close to the event. And that was the hardest puzzle of them all, to make sure that people would have a fair chance to be the first to find. Because the first to find prize was 200,000 Bama bucks, basically a reward that you could trade in for gifts and other items. So it was fun. Last year they did a puzzle as well. I didn't create the last year's puzzle, it was created by a cacher named Fisher Cacher. And this year I had the honor to create the puzzle, and it was lots of fun. If you are interested in joining Bamarama, the next year's has already been posted. It's February 21st, 2026, and the GC code is here as well. So before I go show you how to solve the six puzzle caches, a little bit of a hint. If you watch this on YouTube, then set your YouTube in HD mode. So I show the settings, and basically you can change the resolution to high definition. That will give you the best viewing experience and allows you to see the most details related to how to solve these puzzles. So here's the first puzzle that was published, Clue, Professor Plum. The whole series was clue based, and each cache was based on another character. And with that character is a puzzle associated. They're all between 3 and 4. Difficulty, the final was a 5. Now, they're all board games related. The Bamarama event was board games themed, and so leading up to the event, each week another one of these mystery caches would drop that you could then solve before going to the event, and the final dropped close to the event itself. So this keyword puzzle, it is not coordinates, so that's something to remember. And here it talks about the bonus cache, and that each of these caches will have a keyword inside as well that you need to solve the bonus. So, let's go to the puzzle. In this case, it's a game of chess. And so that one, we need to find a hidden message. So we see here a bunch of letters here. I actually put the letters in the comments as well so that you didn't have to type them out. But basically, I've already typed them out for you. And you have to give the answer. Now, I purposely phrased it like that because what you're looking for is a question that you need to answer. So let's take a quick snip of this. So I use the snipping tool a lot when I have to make drafts. And so we're looking for a question. Now we see a question mark. That is another hint that we're looking for a question right here. So that's most likely the end. And yeah, the beginning could technically be anywhere. However, with questions in English, they typically start with what, when, where, maybe how. But a lot of them start with a W, and we see here a W in a logical location. So that may be a good start. And now what we have to do is basically make a knight move. The puzzle talked about the knight character to kind of hint you in the right direction. And we now have to make a knight move, so that is 2 in one direction, 1 in another direction. And we have to get to the next letter. Now, we already said that what might be or where might be a good first word. So we see here the W, 2, so H. Next one could be an E or an A. Well, if we look at the different options here, there is an E possible right here. And let's look if from an E we can get to, because now we need where, right? If we can get to an R, well, we can go here, 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 or here with a knight move. None of them with an R. So this E does not look like a good choice. Let's see if there's another option. Well, we find here an A, so that could potentially be what. So if we go there, then the next one needs to be a T. So let's see if we can get to a T from here. And basically, if we start looking at the different options, 2 and 1 in one direction, then we'll find a T right here. So now we have basically the word what. That looks like a good start. And so on. So now we have to look for the next word, but each time there's only like 8 possibilities, and the further you get in the puzzle, the less possibilities there will be, because there will be a variety of letters have already been used. So for example, we never have to go back, which makes it automatically only 7 options. So if we continue doing this, then we get what is, and then here we have, again, you have to kind of like figure out what the next words could be. So it's a little bit of trial and error. And with pen and paper, you kind of like look at all the combinations and see what gives a good English word. So, but basically the next one will be T, and then we're looking for an H, and then we're looking for an E. So what is the, and then we find, we could keep on going, LAS, I believe this is the S. But basically you'll find, and then we find a T. So now we have to the words what is the last, and so on. Now, a lot of people started kind of forward, maybe got stuck at a certain point, and then kind of were looking backwards, because you know that, or you assume it ends with the question mark, and so now you can also trace backward what would be the last word, and you can also kind of see what would be where we can go from here. We can't go there because we've already used those, so maybe it is this or this. Well, ending with an H would not be likely. So these two are not very likely. So it looks like that the D might be a good way to end it. And then basically from a D, what could be a logical letter? Could be an A, could be an R. And kind of like in reverse, you can also kind of get the end of the sentence. And that might help you as well. Or you could just start at a random letter and see if you can maybe make a word with a random letter, and see if you can find something that works. So M, O, N, well, that looks pretty good, O, P, etc. And at the end, if you do this, then you will find the complete sentence, and now you can answer this puzzle, and you can answer the question that's being asked and put that in the chat. So let's take a look at the next one. This is Miss Peacock. Similar introduction message. And now we're talking about the game Connect 4, where you have to replay a Connect 4 game. Now, there's quite a bit of information here. It mentions that she started and she won. Okay, that's good to know. So this is kind of like also verification that you had the right board, because if she didn't win, then your board was incorrect, and that she created a hidden keyword in the outcome. So her moves are somehow more important than the other person's moves. So let's replay the game. So if it's 4, it means I throw one in lane 4, and 3 means I throw one in lane 3, etc., etc. So if you do that, you get this board. And now there's multiple ways to look at this. If you see 2 colors, then often you may think of like what I call the usual suspects, which are like binary, Morse, and Braille, because they all have kind of like a 0, 1, or a dash dot, or a dot, no dot type of scenario going on. So in this case, her moves, she started with a 4, so that's this one, and she won. You can see right here that she won. Now there's lots of ways to look at it, which is what makes the puzzle tricky. But if you try all the options and kind of only look at her moves, then you might notice that there is connecting pieces and non-connecting pieces here if you look at it horizontally. So here we see like a not connecting piece. So if we do that, this piece is like by itself. So this is more like a dot scenario. Let's take a look at that, make it slightly bigger. So dot scenario, and here we see two connecting pieces, and that is more of a dash scenario. Here we have a solo one, solo one, solo one, solo one, solo, solo, connected, solo, connected, solo, solo. This was the aha moment that you needed for this puzzle. Yeah, the ones I just mentioned, Morse, Braille, binary, are often used, so it's always a good thing to check when you see something two colors. And so now if I would read this and treat every line as one character, we can go back and use a decoder tool. So I now basically typed in this information, so dot, dash dot, and if I decode it, we see that we get a Morse code and we get the word ensued. And that was the answer to the puzzle. So yeah, quite tricky, and often it's about that aha moment. But I definitely recommend always looking at those, what I call the usual suspects. There's a few more. I actually have a whole video about usual suspects, things that you encounter in many puzzles that's just useful to check when you work with a puzzle. So all of these were published a week apart, so leading up to the event. So the next one was Colonel Mustard, um, and this is about the game Battleship. I used a name of another geocacher here as an opponent. Um, and he actually commented on it because I guess somebody had alerted him when they were solving the puzzle. So we see here a board of what the battleship are, and we see that he has a lot of hits, his opponent has no hits at all. And now it's a matter of what to do here. Now again, we see something that maybe looks like two colors, but we have kind of like three colors, so not maybe super useful for binary, but still might be worth trying. So Morse code, binary, Braille, you can all see if it would fit. However, there is something else here that is weird. If you look at the rest of the text, you see that it is all continuous, and after one sentence ends, the next one starts, right? However, in this piece of text, that is not the case. All these sentences are kind of listed individual. And maybe that is part of the puzzle then, right? If you see something that looks off on purpose, might be worth further investigating. There is another clue here. It says, what is the answer to the question? So again, we're looking for a question. Now it might be that Morse or Braille will spell out a question, but they're kind of far apart. They're not evenly divided, especially not on this side. And if you just look at it further, then it just looks less and less likely that that's the direction that we need to go. So yeah, other options. We have this text and we have this, um, this board. So can we somehow overlay each other? No. You can try to physically overlay it, so put the letters on top of it, but you will quickly see that they're not the same size. So that doesn't look like a good option that we graphically have to overlay it. So maybe there's something else that we see. So often I think it's a good idea to count things. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sentences. Wait a minute, we also have 10 lines here on the board. Maybe it is a coincidence, but maybe not, right? So maybe every line here corresponds to a line here. Well, if that is the case, maybe we should look at what the boards tell us, right? So we see all the misses, but maybe more relevant, let's take a look at where the hits would be. And so now if we do look at the hits, second line, oh, the second line we find the word what. We were looking for a question. That actually looks quite promising. So if we have the word what, and then the second word is, what is? That actually could be the start of a question. Let's look at the next one, the fourth line, the fourth word. And we see what is, this is the fourth line, the, oh, what is the, again, the next one, fourth word, 1, 2, 3, 4, name, and then the next one again, uh, of. Oh, what is the name of? Now, if you do that, you will again get a question. You have to do a Google search to basically answer the question, unless you know it by heart. But if you do that, you will have this puzzle solved. So yeah, the trick here was to basically identify that there were a couple of weird coincidences, 10 lines, 10 here. In addition, that these lines were formatted like this, that could be important. So yeah, if you do that, then you're on a good way to get the answer. So let's take a look at the next one. Mrs. White. I think for a lot of people, this was their favorite puzzle. So standard introduction again, and then we get basically the introduction. So as with the other ones, there's always some hints in my flavor text. So I love a good game of Scrabble online. Why is he saying online? She's using the word computers. Might be relevant, but it's kind of odd. And then below one of the best openings that I've seen in a Scrabble game, can you find the words that were placed? Okay, sure. So here is the letters that we used. And it also says that was not necessarily the turns. So we can use them in any order. And then finally, like all of them, we have to look for a keyword. So it talked here about looking at the board and the points scored. So we need to figure out the points that were scored. I noticed something else. I was able to create an 8-letter word out of these values. Can you find it? So basically it suggests that we have to play the game, calculate the points, get the score, get another word. Okay. So it says it starts here basically to help you. I say it starts with an M. So if we look at the words, then actually there's only one with an M. So we have to basically make a, well, as it shows here, a 7-letter word out of these letters. So if you do that, you will find the word miracle. You can of course, use an anagram solver or something like that. But that will get you the word miracle, and now we have to calculate the points. Now, this is where a lot of people struggled, because if you don't know how Scrabble works, it is fairly complicated of how sometimes the score works. So in this case, we have the word miracle, which if you just do the plain letters, it calculates to 8. However, we begun, so we get a double word score. And also, if we look at the board, there's a double letter score. So let's do that. And one more thing, we also get a 50-point bonus because, oh, and it's not the double letter on L, it's the double letter on C. So, because miracle, C is the double letter. And one more thing, you get 50 points bonus because we used all the letters. So if we do that, we get a score of 78. So that is important. So we have a score of 78. And now that we have this word placed, we can look at any of the other words. Now a couple of things. This word needs to be placed before this word because otherwise you can't place this word. It requires that this letter is already there. So the order of which we have to place certain words is not 100% predetermined because, for example, I can do this before this, but this one is definitely played before that one. So this one is basically an 8-letter word that we're looking for here, and we know it starts with the word L. So now basically one of these sets with an L associated with it will make this word. So we can try to solve that. Well, in this case, it is the word lanyards is the one that you're looking for. So we can clear this out and say we're looking for the word lanyards. We of course do get the 50 points score. We don't have the double score, but there is a double word score because of this, so we do get it. And there's also a double letter, that is the letter A. So we get the letter A as a double letter, not this one. So that gives us 76 points. So, and so on. So basically you have to score. So in this case, the L actually counts, even though the L was already on the board, because yeah, that is just the Scrabble rules. So now we have a 78 score and a 76 score. This is when the computer clue or the online clue came in place, because we have to use a specific computer code, which is the ASCII code. And if we look at the ASCII code and we look at these numbers, 76, that is the letter L, 78, that is the letter N. So once you played all the letters, you had 8 different scores, you had 8 different points, giving you 8 different letters. So if you do that, then you can now, with those 8 letters, make another word, and that will give you the answer. So basically it was playing a Scrabble game, but the trick was that you had to figure out where each word fit. Well, in all cases there was only one solution. There's actually only one word as well. There's not multiple words that are possible here. And you have to know the Scrabble rules. So one specific one that tricked people is that if you play this word, you basically get this whole word in points as well. So including the triple word value goes both ways. You don't get the 2-letter word value because that is not played in that scenario, but the triple word you get in both this direction and this direction, giving you, I believe, 110 points, which is the highest scoring one in this game. So yeah, so that's how this one worked. Another puzzle, like I said, a lot of people seem to enjoy this one, but yeah, it's just Scrabble with some extra steps. Okay, next one was Mr. Green. This seemed to be the easiest one of all of them, given the amount of solves. Again, standard introduction, character introduces themselves, and this is based on a game called Codenames. And it's just a fun game where you basically have to find a word that connects with other words. So now I tell here, basically it could be anything. Sounds like, synonyms, maybe the word as a before and after. It could be anything, but I'm helping you a little bit by giving you either the first letter or the last letter or the length. I'm giving you something to help you out. So that will make it easier. Initially, I had no hint at all, but I removed that at the end, and so making it always slightly easier. So how do you solve this? Well, let's again take a copy of this. So like this. And so let's take a look at the first one, the word take, and then above, something that means take and above. So above could be over, and then you have take over. So 4 letters starts with an O, that seems to work. So if we put the word over here, and the second one, hill and mountain, so you have to find something that's maybe comes before or after hill, or before or after goat, or means goat, or something else, right? So can be quite tricky. So if you don't know how to do it, I showed a tool that you might be able to use in the last video. So this tool can do all kinds of things. For example, it says, give me all the words that end with goat. We don't know if it ends or begins with goat, but it will give us all kinds of options. And you see it finds the word mountain goat, and the other word was hill. So hill, mountain. And we can actually see that here as well, because it can also give other words for hill. And we also get the word mountain. So we now have 2 options. So we can now work with that and say, okay, yeah, that works. We have something that is a definition of hill and also goes together with goat. So that we have the word mountain for the second one. So we can put it now in place. The word mountain goes here. And so now we have um, mountain and over. So now the word pass, for example, goes here, because overpass and mountain pass both work. And that's how you filled in the entire area. Now, some of them can be quite tricky. So, for example, there's one here that has only one letter. People were struggling with that. If you do the puzzle, you will end up with the word late here. And then this was the word X because of the word uh, latex, late X. And so you have to find out what this one is. But that gives you towards the end. And basically, if you do that, you get a single word, and a lot of people seem to get correct on that. If you do need any help, feel free to send me a message, more than help, and check where you are. Okay, Scarlet was the last one of the pre-events shirts. I thought this would be the easiest one, so I rated it 3 stars. But a lot of people had still had issues with this one. So let me explain how it worked. So in this case, it's Trivial Pursuit. 6 questions, as we can see here. Once you've answered them all, your next step is to find the keyword, and after that, get the coordinates. Give you one clue: the questions are in the right order. So the order in which we give them will be the correct order to get our answer. And verify the answer, and you will get a keyword below to retrieve the coordinates. Once you have answered them all, your next step to find an after that. That is another clue. Next step and after that are twice kind of like saying a similar thing. This was not just awkward phrasing, that was intended to be a clue. Because let's take a look at the answers. So they are in the right order, so we just need to answer these questions. Now, some of these you might just know. Cully Long is the one who wrote How to Puzzle Cache. Great book. I got a copy myself as well. It's great reference material. What is the state the first geocache was placed in? That would be Oregon with an O. Satellite is what is used for the signals. And the next one you may have to Google. It is a movie which has a geocacher as the main character. Other than that, it is very awkward to watch because you barely recognize geocaching in that, but the answer is left fingers, and so on. I'll leave the last two for you to find. So now what do we need to do? Now, if we have these answers and we know that we need a 6-letter clue in this case, keyword, first letters seems like a good choice. That doesn't work. Last letters, G and an N, doesn't seem to work. And it says they're in the right order, so we don't need to anagram or something else. So there must be something else going on. Now, the other thing that you might notice is that if you look at the category names, they make somewhat sense. L could be literature, G could be geography, S could be science, etc. However, these are not the letters that Trivial Pursuit uses. If you look at Trivial Pursuit cards, some of them have double letters, some of them have single letters, but they're not these letters. So that should tip you off that maybe you needed to do something with these letters. The aha moment now comes from the fact that all these letters appear in the answer. L is here, G is here, S is here, and E is here. So we have the letters all appear, and the same for the last two, they will appear. However, of course, this won't be the answer because otherwise we could read it right here without answering. So this is when the next step or after comes in, because if we go to the next letters, we get the letter L here, Polly, double L, letter O here, letter A here, and the letter F here. And this is the first 4 letters of what will be the final word, and which will help you solve this puzzle. Thank you for listening. If you would like me to create maybe a puzzle series for your mega event or block party, just shoot me a message, watervet5 on the geocaching.com website. And if I have time, then I'm happy to help and maybe create a good puzzle series for your event. If you have any feedback, feel free to leave a comment. Of course, if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. That will help other people find this channel as well, and we get more and better puzzles out there on the geocaching.com website. So with that, thank you very much, and speak to you next time.